Have you seen the Steven Universe pilot? Not like the first episode of the series, which is often called the pilot, like the original pilot that was used to help pitch the show. I wouldn't be surprised if some people out there haven't seen this yet, even if they've already watched the entire show proper, which is amazing, because you really should watch it, because the show looks like this. Look at this! What is that? Who are you? This is what the show originally was going to look like. Isn't this crazy? Because I prefer this one over the real show. I think this looks amazing. I love the look of this pilot. I adore the style on full display here. Everything about this is amazing. The only element to this pilot that isn't a marked improvement over the show is Garnet, because she's perfect no matter what. Because Garnet is the best, and she's a beautiful goddess, and I love her. Now, this video is a huge example of personal preference. There's nothing objectively better in one style of the show over the other. I just personally love this over that, but that's not the point of this video. I want to kind of try and explain what happened. How did we go from this to this? And in the meantime, I get to gush over the style of the original pilot. Yay! So to start, let's take a look at our characters. First and foremost, they all have a little more detail in them. Whether it's Pearl's baggy skirt, or Amethyst's various accessories, or the additional patterns in Garnet's top, our characters have a lot more going on with them. The only exception being Steven, who's relatively the same. Actually, everything has a lot more detail, especially the locations. The show proper has simplified backgrounds, usually a few colors or sparkles or diamond shapes here and there. By comparison, the pilot is jam-packed with tiny, beautifully drawn-out details. The brickwork on the wall of their temple, the rainbow-colored gems around their warpad. In the opening, we see this beautifully intricate fire and water-divided mixed landscape Garnet's standing in, and this shot with Amethyst only lasts 2 seconds on screen, but just look at it. There's vines and plants of different shapes and sizes. She's sleeping on top of a lion and a tiger, and the tiger has a bracelet, earrings, and a tiny bird on top of its head. There's these beautiful lights and rocks, and all of this gorgeousness is only on screen for 2 seconds. I love the beautiful, intricate details that's overflowing in every single frame. Our characters, with more intricate details themselves, match this world perfectly, and it gives it a more realistic pop. Amethyst's shirt is baggy, Pearl's skirt bunches up. These details are lost in the show proper. Now don't get me wrong, Steven Universe uses the concept of strength and simplicity in many beautiful ways in its own right. The simple backgrounds are easy on the eyes, and when there are more detailed sets, often found within the old gem war grounds, it gives those areas a pleasant edge not seen with its more simplified locations. Really, where it hurts me the most is with our characters. Their clothes go from frilly and baggy to form-fitted. Extra accessories and unnecessary patterns are lost in order to simplify the characters' styles. Another element to the pilot I love is just how ugly the humans are. Now, I don't mean ugly as in like they're bad to look at or anything. I mean, compared to the gems, the humans look, well, like regular humans. All the characters in the show proper are rather cute. At the very least, they're pleasant to look at. Every single character. In the pilot, Steven really does feel like a pudgy, clumsy, regular boy. But the gems feel almost otherworldly. Funnily enough, this is achieved by making them more realistic proportionally. Steven Universe has a lot of squash and stretch on their characters. Now, I love me a good bouncy cartoon, but sometimes I feel like the squash and stretch was a detriment to the style of the show. Sometimes I couldn't tell if Steven and Amethyst are only 2 feet tall, or if they're 5 feet tall. Their proportions were never always exactly the same. Staying on model can be hard when you have a simplified, stretchy style like we see in the show. No, it's not bad to go off model. Hell, sometimes I think it's a huge benefit for an animated medium. But the more grounded style of the pilot gives the gems a more realistic feeling. I can't imagine Amethyst suddenly shrinking down to stand up as high as Garnet's shins, like how we've seen in the real cartoon. And because of this, it makes the gems feel uniquely perfect compared to the human characters. In the real show, Pearl is super skinny. She's itty-bitty, little more than a stick figure waltzing around. She feels like a cartoon character. A tall, skinny cartoon character. In this pilot, however, Pearl feels unordinarily skinny. She's still a normal girl with human features. She's just a little off. Ignoring her ornate outfit and her bluish skin tone, there is something physically about Pearl that makes her feel a bit above and beyond the norm. And the same is true for Amethyst and Garnet too. Garnet doesn't just feel tall, she feels like an Amazon, like goddess levels of tall. And Amethyst is perfectly curvy. She's not chubby like Steven is, she's perfectly curved. By making the human characters slightly less appealing, it makes our gems truly feel like alien life forms in their beauty. The palette also has a distinct difference in its color palette. Like I mentioned, Pearl has actually bluish skin, which I think helps make her feel alien, like Amethyst's purple skin does. Beyond that, the palette features much darker and saturated colors, where the show proper has a very soft pastel color palette. Again, it's all just personal preference. There's nothing wrong with Steven Universe's pastels. I just personally would rather have my cartoons look like it was colored by Banjo-Kazooie, rather than it was colored by the Easter Bunny. But probably the biggest difference from the pilot to the show isn't anything visual about it at all. The pilot was a lot darker than the official cartoon. Not like dark as in the colors were darker, dark as in the stakes were higher and things seemed really serious. Now, Steven Universe does obviously tackle very intense and serious concepts, but the show really slowly led us to these ideas. The pilot has Steven crying his eyes out because he's watching the crystal gems get absolutely wrecked by the skull electricity monster, which in general is a lot creepier looking than anything we see in the real show. The original pilot definitely had a more mature edge to it that was lost when it came to the real show's syndication. And that's really the root of the changes for Steven Universe's style. I may adore and love the intricate little details, the more realistic proportions and the darker color palettes, and the more serious tone of the pilot, but other people clearly disagree. Specifically, someone with a lot of money and power seemed to disagree. Steven Universe is, of course, a Cartoon Network show, so all of these changes had to happen to better fit their demographic. Would this video be very different if Steven Universe had been picked up by Adult Swim or Nickelodeon, or was self-funded? Yes, absolutely. But what Steven Universe got was Cartoon Network, so the show had to shift in its corporate's hands. The more mature edge to the plot? Well, we can still address some serious elements to the characters, but ultimately, Cartoon Network is targeting a specific demographic. Kids. Kids don't really want to see their favorite characters cry their eyes out at the sight of their family being destroyed by some crazy evil skull monster, so Steven Universe had to take that edge off, and with it had to change up its art style to follow suit. All the intricate little details and the characters and backgrounds? Well, we need to simplify things, so the animators can draw the episodes a lot faster. Make the characters more simple to draw quickly and regularly so we can pump out episodes as fast as possible. All of these specific little details would slow down animation speeds and ultimately take longer for the episodes to air. The colors need to soften to be more generally appealing for younger audiences, and the characters had to become more stretchy to become more visually comedic. Now, I'm sure there's a bunch of you right now typing out various examples of how this is not always the case, and you're 100% right. Teen Titans had detailed characters and backgrounds. Adventure Time has darker, more saturated colors. There are, of course, a ton of examples that don't follow what Steven Universe did between its pitch style and its official style, but ultimately, this is what got approved. For one reason or another, this art style did better with test audiences than the original did. There's really nothing right or wrong with either style compared to the other. It's literally just preference, and this style ended up being the most preferred. The shift in art style is fine. I don't hate the way the show looks now. It's offered some truly beautiful and stunning animated moments. Really, the thing I lament the most in the shift in style is the loss of that mature edge to the story. If Steven Universe would have landed as a cartoon aimed for young adults, I think it would have been a beautiful change of pace compared to most adult-themed cartoons. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks 90% of mature cartoons look ugly as hell, and their premises usually center around sex or violence to an extreme degree. And it's not that this is a bad thing, necessarily. I thoroughly enjoy shows like Solar Opposites, Rick and Morty, and Disenchantment, but I think a more mature animated show that had a magical style and a childlike wonder sort of premise could really change up the world of adult animations. less hyper-focused on the sex and the blood, and make it a smart, beautiful show that addresses mature themes but still has a fun world and charming characters. But of course, Steven Universe isn't an adult cartoon. It became a kids' cartoon, and that's still a good thing. Steven Universe changed the way kids' cartoons are being approached. It proved cartoons don't need to just be dumb gags and plotless loud screaming. You can have characters develop, evolve, address depression and death and relationships in a way that aids its younger audience. Steven Universe was destined to change the world of animation. We just happened to get the one with simple characters and pastel colors. And it is beautiful. And we should consider ourselves lucky enough to even be able to see this original pilot animation, because even though this style didn't get its syndication, it can still inspire people, with its premise, its details, its style, and most importantly, these amazing characters, who I love no matter what they look like. I hope Steven Universe can inspire you too. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're amazing. Nako, Michael, James Dodds, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Surge, Dakota D, Taj, The Boulder Off Bros, and Noah. Well, I wanted to talk about Steven Universe, but I didn't know where to begin. So I guess the pilot was as good a place as any. Tell me what you think. Which one did you prefer? The original pilot or the actual show's style? I think Pearl looks great with that original style, but what do you think? Anything I talked about, any and all thoughts and opinions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.